Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, February 9th, 2024. We are 2 days away from Super Bowl Sunday. Honestly, an American holiday in my mind. Unfortunately, we don't get the day off of work the next day, but there
Mhm.
is 13 days till the first spring training game, and things kind of
That's
happening
incredible.
all around. Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. It's the perfect turnaround. We get like a two
It
week
is.
break, and then baseball ramps up. It's awesome. Um, got a couple of young guys getting paid in the MLB. Bobby Witt, whoo, big extension. Believe it was 11 years. And then Vlad Guerrero got a record number in arbitration. He's making some ridiculous amount of money next year. Let me pull this up real quick because I don't remember the number. Um, but it is absurd the money that he just got. Yeah, he won $19.9 million in arbitration, um, which is crazy.
Wow.
Previously, the highest awarded hearing was 14 million for Teoscar Hernandez last year.
Wow. Huh.
Crazy.
Interesting. And for me and the viewers, could you remind what arbitration means?
Yeah, so there's a part of MLB contracts where uh, I think typically it's more popular for young guys. So like with arbitration, it's all based on like your rookie contract and when it's about to end. But I believe it's going into the final year of your contract. Um, arbitration, if you don't know what arbitration is in general, it's essentially like some there's a panel of people, the team and the players representation both kind of pitch why the player should make this much money,
Mhm.
and then the three person panel picks who won, essentially.
Oh,
It's very
okay.
interesting. It's a good way for a player to make a lot of money, b a player to get his feelings hurt by his organization, and c uh, a good way to correctly value players while they're still under contract.
That's interesting. So does the team pitch why they shouldn't have to pay
Kind
that
of,
player that much money?
kinda, yeah.
That's kind of weird. That's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, I think for the most part, the team is, obviously, I'm not listening to these hearings, um, but it's weird because, yeah, it sounds like the team would be like, well, he shouldn't be making this much money because this, and this. It's very weird to do, um, but at the same time, if they go first, they lay out all the reasons, and then the player gets the chance to be like, well, I should be making this much. But also, like, plenty of people just agree on a number before arbitration happens, and then they just void arbitration. So
Hmm.
it's very interesting. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about Super Bowl week before we get into the meat and potatoes. Um, let's go through some of our favorite moments from Super Bowl week. Not specifically something like a play in the game or a team winning, but like newsworthy things that happen. I'm going to start with one that's kind of still ongoing, and it's kind of Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports fighting against the NFL and Roger Goodell. This started years ago with Dave Portnoy essentially getting like blackballed from media day, and they just will not let anybody from Barstool Sports into NFL media day anymore. Obviously, it has to do with the Brady Four, which was four Barstool employees, including Dave Portnoy, that handcuffed themselves to each other and sat in the middle of the NFL offices uh, to uh, to protest Deflategate, which then led to Roger Goodell's hatred of Barstool Sports and, in particular, Dave Portnoy, who snuck in to a Super Bowl. Not snuck in, he bought a ticket, got into a Super Bowl despite being on like a banned list with a fake mustache on. And then they found out he was there, and he literally just like collapsed when the security tried to pick him up, and they just like dragged him through the stadium. I believe that was at the Super Bowl in Atlanta. Um, they dragged him through the stadium and put him in like the little like stadium jail. But it
Gosh.
is a legendary video of him getting dragged out of the stadium. So that's definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Um, I would say I can remember vividly a lot of the halftime shows, not necessarily like sports related, but I can remember Madonna's very well. Where if you go back and watch her Super Bowl halftime, MIA flicks off the camera, and they
Yeah.
tried to blur the camera, but they completely missed it. Like she flicks off the camera, and then it blurs, and
Yeah.
that was pretty hilarious. I remember a really weird. This is weird to remember, but do you remember Super Bowl 50 being out west and that
Yeah.
game like being at like daytime when it was nighttime here? For some reason, I vividly can remember that Super Bowl
Super Bowl
just
50
because
was sick. Like the
it
hype
was
leading into that final score sucked. It was all
yeah
defense, and the
yeah
Panthers were ass. But I vividly remember the lead up being so epic because it
yeah
was the 50th Super Bowl.
yeah,
And it
and
was
it
like
was all
Peyton
like the
Manning before
gold.
his retirement. Yeah, the gold was
Yeah,
all over the place for that one. So yeah,
dude,
that was
you
a
could
sick
get
Super Bowl.
gold garlic knots from Domino's for that game. I remember that too.
That's crazy. I got a
Yeah.
couple more that I really like. Obviously, I've kind of done my research and I've heard of moments and such. This one is definitely one that sticks with me. So in 1979, Cowboys linebacker Thomas Hollywood Henderson uh, was talking about Terry Bradshaw and particularly about how intelligent he was, or maybe not intelligent he was. He said he couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the A. And then they lost.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw threw 4 touchdowns. And and then Henderson after the game said, I didn't say he couldn't play. I just said that he couldn't spell.
That's
That's a good
awesome. I
one. And
like
then
that.
in I believe 1999 when the Falcons made it to the Super Bowl, the first time ever. I try to say the only, but I know it's not. Um cornerback Ray Buchanan was very intent on proving that the Falcons didn't mind being underdogs versus the Broncos, and he actually wore a dog collar to media day, and then proceeded to just rip Shannon Sharp a new one. And just like he called him
Wow.
an ugly dude who looked like Mr. Ed, uh, obviously being the anthropomorphized horse, Mr.
Yeah.
Ed. And then that led to quite the back and forth where Shannon Sharp then said, is he my friend? No. Did I ever view him as a friend? No. Did I ever view him as an acquaintance? No. Do I like him? No. If I see him in a snowstorm, his truck's broke down, mine's going perfectly. Do I pick him up? No. So that's
I
a
love Shannon.
solid. Yeah, Shannon Sharp is the best. Shout out Unk. Shout out Shay Shay. Whatever you want to call him. I love Shannon
Yeah.
Sharp so much.
Oh my! Speaking of Shannon Sharp, him and Ocho
Oh my
Cinco,
god,
their
the
podcast.
nightcap is genuinely perfect. It's perfect.
That's
I
one of my
watch it while
favorites.
I always watch it when I'm like editing the episodes.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
prime like entertainment a ridiculous insight into the lives of former NFL players.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Two
things that
very
I have heard.
outgoing. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. If you want just the best entertainment, I watched a compilation of the funniest things Shannon Sharp has said on that show. It's ridiculous.
Dude, the one where he hooked up with that girl and she passed gas and he said, "Oh, it's okay, baby. I usually make them shit."
Yeah.
Incredible. And you can tell Ocho and Shannon are on the same wavelength because
Yep.
Ocho loses his mind and Deion Sanders is just like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you people?"
Yeah. It's
Oh
very
man.
funny to see like those two interact with like obviously Dion is not a regular person, but like somebody that doesn't
No.
act like that, to
Yeah.
see them two interact and then that. It's hilarious. Like,
I love
the
it.
only way that that show could get more crazy, horny,
Yeah.
anything, add Stephen A. Smith.
Oh my goodness.
Stephen A. has been killing it. Him and Shannon
Mm.
are literally dominating media right now. Like, I watched
Oh
a
yeah.
video for about 5 minutes of Stephen A. Smith being asked who wins in a fight, Stuart Little or Ratatouille. And then, first of all, his name's Remy. And second of all,
Yep.
Stephen pronounces it Ratatouille the whole time.
Of
it's
course.
it's hilarious. These guys are
Oh
killing it.
man.
So yeah, I
Hmm.
didn't think we'd be doing this, but shout out the nightcap and shout out Stephen A. Smith.
For sure.
Well,
For
today,
sure.
in the actual content of the episode, of course, we are previewing Super Bowl 58, the big game if we had advertisers. We have our top 5 relief pitchers slash closing pitchers from 2023. Of course, Premier League weekend. I know Luke is interested to see what Chelsea's next move is after a huge win against Aston
Yeah.
Villa. We, of course, have the Champions League round of 16, week 1 next week. We've got straight up a month straight of Champions League action, and I am so excited for it.
Oh
And then,
yeah.
of course, we'll round it out with questions time, which Nathan was slacking on this week. Got it in. Literally, we had to delay the recording so that he could make sure he got it in time. He got them. So we're chilling there. And they're not bad questions. I already screened them. So, without further ado, Luke, let's talk about Super Bowl 58.
Let's do it.
All right, let's kind of set the scene. Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS and Nickelodeon, if you please. But Chiefs
Let's go.
versus 49ers. Niners a 1.5 point favorite. Over under 47.5. National anthem. Miss Reba McEntire, a legend. Halftime show. Usher. Kind of
Ursher,
underwhelming. I
baby.
got to be honest. It's kind of underwhelming. Last year we had
It,
Rihanna. The year before that we had that crazy, crazy group with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Eminem and Kendrick
Kendrick.
and
Hmm.
I think Missy Elliott as well.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
ridiculous crop. Like, that was legendary. But
Yeah. For
so
sure.
yeah, I think Usher is a little underwhelming. It almost seems like they couldn't get Taylor Swift. She's gonna be
Um.
there, but not on the
No,
field.
but I've seen Usher live just a little bit before, like in clips and stuff.
Okay,
He's
I,
gonna
I
put on
thought
a
you were
good
about to say
show.
that you've been to an Usher concert, and I was gonna have so many questions.
Oh no, no, no. But Usher. Who knows? What if we get Yeah? What if Lil Jon and
If Lil
Luda
Jon
come
shows up
out,
for yeah, I'm all in.
bringing the A Town to Vegas?
Yeah,
Dude, I would love that. But no, Usher's a really good live performer. It does kind of seem underwhelming.
yeah.
He really hasn't been popular as of late. But I think he's gonna do great. I think it's gonna be fun.
I hope so. I always hope that there's a good halftime show. Obviously, another big thing is commercials. Any Super Bowl commercial that maybe a company you're hoping you'll see a good commercial out of this year.
So I've already seen the commercial, and I think I may have sent it to you, but it's really interesting to see how since Messi has moved to Inter Miami, how they're
Yeah,
trying to Americanize him.
yeah,
He has a sick Michelob Ultra commercial with Jason Sudeikis and Dan Marino. I
yeah. It's
cannot wait to watch that
fantastic.
one again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's a great commercial. And he loves not speaking English. It's
yeah.
his favorite thing to do.
It's a joke at this point.
Yeah, I,
Like,
I think I'm convinced he's fluent in English and doesn't want anybody to know.
yeah, I am too.
Literally, the
Hundred
closest,
percent.
the only word I think he even says in the commercial is no and Michelob.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh
Otherwise,
man.
it's just a CGI soccer ball rolling in front of him for the
Yeah.
rest of the commercial. Um, yeah, I've always been looking forward to Super Bowl commercial. I never really cared about Super Bowl commercials. I thought it was cool that it's such this huge like deal. Um, but Puppy Monkey Baby was one of my favorites ever.
Oh
Um,
man.
That was my go-to favorite Super Bowl commercial. It's the creepiest creature I have ever seen. It's amazing. Um, but in the past couple of years, I've really turned my attention to the emotional commercials. They're always so good. Like Budweiser
Oh,
always has a great
yeah.
commercial. Um, a lot of the car companies do really good commercials. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm interested to see what what we'll get this year. But let's talk about the actual football. Chiefs,
Yeah, let's do it.
49ers. If the Okay, let's start with keys to victory. What do the Chiefs need to do to win?
I like attacking Chase Young via Isaiah Pacheco. Chase Young really throughout the time he's been traded, kind of really ever since his injury, has been a liability in the run game. He kind of gets fucked.
Yeah.
And I think Isaiah Pacheco can definitely be a workhorse. He's all of this season he's been deemed as probably the hardest runner in the NFL. And I think that can be one key to victory. And then the other key to victory for the Chiefs on the other side of the ball, I would say, is Karlaftis and Chris Jones. What kind of pressure can you get to put on Brock Purdy, to put on Christian McCaffrey? Um, yeah, that's really I think my two key to victories for the Chiefs win. And also the Chiefs have a great secondary. I would like to see a turnover or two, an interception.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I think I really like what you had to say about attacking Chase Young. That's a fantastic thing to do. They need to make sure like the Chiefs need to know that Pacheco is safe.
Yeah.
That's how you need to use him is for safety. And if, you know, God forbid Pat Mahomes isn't throwing the ball perfectly like he often does, you have
Mhm.
Isaiah Pacheco. And I think last year they did a good job of going to him. And throughout this season, they've done a good job of, if things aren't working, use Pacheco to regain momentum. And let me tell you, that little guy's got a lot of momentum. Um,
Oh yeah.
uh, so, yeah, I think Pacheco is definitely the key. Obviously, don't drop passes. Duh. I think, Travis Kelsey's going to get the works thrown at him. Um,
Oh yeah.
Find MVS for a big play. That seems to have been a very successful route is finding MVS, who certainly this year has had his fair share of drops in really bad times on big plays a lot. But in these playoffs, he's been pretty solid. So find MVS on big plays for sure. And Pat Mahomes is going to have to do something with his legs this year. I think that's going to be
Yeah.
a big deal. Um, so yeah, I think look, there's a lot obviously that needs to happen outside of that. Big thing for the defense, keep an eye on Brock Purdy because when they get into situations where there's the ability for him to run, he will run and he's going to make you regret leaving him there. Send Nick Bolton at him. Like that's a great thing to do is leave a linebacker over the middle to just be there for Brock Purdy. At least limit the damage to 5 yards. Don't let him run out for first downs. Don't let him, everybody's downfield. Okay, I'm going to go pick up 13, 15 yards. Like he's done a very good job of that and he only does it when he needs to. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing on the defensive side for the Chiefs is limiting Brock Purdy on the ground.
Yeah, for sure. Because what I've seen pretty much all throughout the season for in 49er games is there really hasn't been a single defense that is game plan for those Brock Purdy runs because
Yeah.
they're so few, but they're so effective. Like Brock Purdy's the kind of quarterback that all the defense they're in nickel, right? So there's extra defensive backs and not extra people in the box. And Brock Purdy on like 3rd and 13 will go pick up 15.
Yeah.
And like a 3rd and 13 being picked up in a Super Bowl via a quarterback just scrambling out on a broken play is killer as far as momentum
Yeah.
goes. So the Chiefs, I really like how you pointed that out because Brock Purdy isn't a runner, but when he does, he really is effective. So they really need to limit that. Because like on 3rd and 13, either force him to make a throw down the field, or if he tries to run, go get him.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think with the Super Bowl in particular, momentum is such a big deal because it's not a
Yes.
home game for anybody. Obviously, everybody's got fans in the stands, but it's as neutral as the neutral site gets. And I think when it comes to momentum, you got to create it yourself. You can't rely on the crowd to hype you up because half the crowd's booing you. Sorry, a quarter of the crowd's booing you, a quarter of the crowd's cheering you on, and half the crowd is rich people that are really drunk. So,
Yeah.
like, they don't play a factor. You need to motivate yourselves, and big plays motivate these players. So, I liked it. You talked about momentum. Let's talk about the 49ers side. I think offensively, the biggest thing, and it's so obvious, is put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands. Steve Spagnuolo has done a great job with this Chiefs defense. They still struggle against the run. Christian McCaffrey is the kind of running back that will kill them. And because, look, last week, or it's not last week, 2 weeks ago against the Ravens, uh, you knew that Lamar would run the ball sometimes, and you knew that you have the defensive line to stop Gus Edwards from getting anything. But you go back the week before that, they couldn't stop Josh Allen, they couldn't stop James Cook. So what says you can stop Christian McCaffrey? Because Christian McCaffrey and James Cook are a little more similar than McCaffrey and Gus Edwards. James Cook,
Yes.
much more versatile, much more big play, much more going out in the flat, catching the ball. Christian McCaffrey is going to be a guy that just runs and runs and runs. I wouldn't be surprised if he has over 30 carries in this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Purdy only throws for about 200, 250 yards.
Yeah, that's a good point because with Christian McCaffrey, you don't have to take those chances down the field all the time. He is a 80% of the time safe option to go to, I would say.
Yep.
Um, but the Chiefs do have that good defense, so maybe they come out with a really good game plan for him. And I think if that happens, my key for the 49ers would be to spread the ball more via the pass game. So I feel like a lot of the times you have a very top-heavy offense where it's either Debo, Brandon Ayuk, or both of them, and Kittle might get like 3 receptions. I'd like to see more of a spread for the 49ers. And defensively, just I don't really know. I mean, just I
Yeah.
guess do what you've been doing all year long, but it's the Chiefs though. I know that that's not really a good key to victory, but they're just gonna have to. I really actually okay. I'll narrow it down. I'm blabbling right now. Linebacker play. Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner are the people that are gonna win you the game on defense.
Yep.
Is what I would say.
Yeah, I think Charvarius Ward certainly has his claim there as well. There's a lot riding on this for Charvarius Ward. He was on the winning side of this matchup back in 2020 with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now he gets the chance to beat the Chiefs with the team that he beat. Like this is an interesting thing for Charvarius Ward, and he's been amazing all year. I love his game. He is so intense. He's a classic shit talker. Like, I love Charvarius Ward's game. I think he's going to match up well against these wide receivers. I would assume he's going to be all over Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And that bodes well for the 49ers.
Yes, for sure. Because I mean, it's weird. Definitely the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever had, but as far as offense, it's probably the worst.
Definitely.
I mean, they finally have their running back, but they don't really have any wide receivers.
Yeah,
And
Rashee
I
Rice
don't
has been
think,
good. I'll give them
yeah,
that. Rashee Rice has been good, but he certainly had his struggles throughout the year as well.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, we've seen the Chiefs' offense kind of, take a more like pioneer stance on tight ends getting more of the ball than wide receivers, and that's worked before. But we've seen it a couple times in the regular season where Travis Kelce has kind of been a little bit quiet. So, I mean, probably won't happen in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's playoffs,
Yeah.
Travis Kelce. There's really no. He's probably one of the best playoff players of all time. Probably the best playoff tight end of all time, I
Yeah.
would say, over Gronk. I
Yeah,
would give it to him.
I feel like another key for the 49ers is play Travis Kelce over the top. Let him get stuff underneath because, honestly, he has aged, and I don't think people really talk about that a lot. Like, he's in the back half of his career, and he's not as fast, and he's not as good at breaking tackles anymore. Let him, allow him the underneath. Let Travis Kelce have 10 receptions for, 45 yards. That's fine. But it's when you let him get into open space and when you let him, get a reception over 10 yards where he starts to hurt you. You can let them slowly move up the field with Kelsey, but you're going to be way more worried if you're letting him get over you.
100%.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think this game's going to be fantastic. Um, I want to go through a couple of player props before we get into the game. Um, so I'm pulling up ESPN Bet right now to look at some props. And what the hell? There we go. Player props right here. Actually, you know what? Let's start with the fun ones, the novelty bets. The coin toss, heads or tails?
Tails, always.
Tails. Yep, tails plus 100 actually. Um, will there be a 2-point conversion attempted?
What do you think?
I'm gonna go with no. I don't think it's gonna be
I
that close by the end.
I think there might be.
Okay.
I feel like the 49ers and the Chiefs are a unique group of teams that can play super aggressive if they
Yeah.
need to.
So I'm saying no, which is very much against the pattern. Yes has hit in 10 straight Super Bowls and 17 of the past 18. Um, so
Damn.
I'm definitely in the minority on that one. Um, this one's a very interesting novelty bet. The jersey number of the first touchdown scorer over under 22.5. So over includes players like Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelsey, George Kittle, but Ayuk, Debo, Rashi Rice, Patrick Mahomes, and Brock Purdy are all under 22.5.
Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco under 22.5. It's an interesting bet. It's a tough one to go for.
Oh wow, that one is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the under on that one. Under.
Okay, I'm going over
Yeah.
because I think McCaffrey's going to be the first touchdown scorer. So I'm going to go over 22.5 on that one. And then we got one more novelty bet. The shortest touchdown scored over or under 1.5 yards.
1.5.
Yeah.
Over.
Okay. So you think there's going to be one touchdown scored under, sorry, the shortest touchdown scored will be over 1.5 yards? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
There has been a 1 yard touchdown in 4 straight Super Bowls and 7 of the last 8. So I'm going to go for the under.
Wow.
All right. Player props, passing yards. Patrick Mahomes, over under 260.5.
This is a different Patrick Mahomes this year. I'm gonna go under.
Okay. Brock Purdy's line, 248.5. I'm definitely smashing the under.
Over.
Really?
For me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Over for me.
Let's get to let's go for total rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey, over under 90.5.
Wow. That one's really tough.
That is really tough. I think it's
Um.
over because of volume. He's going to get so many carries.
Yeah, I'll side with you on that one. Over.
Pacheco, over under 68.5.
Over.
Got it. Let's go longest rush. Christian McCaffrey, over under 17.5.
I could see him. Over. Over.
Okay. Isaiah Pacheco, over under 15.5. I'm definitely taking the over on that.
Yeah. Over again.
What about Brock Purdy? 8.5. Longest rush.
I would definitely take over. He's gonna have one play that just gets broken and he runs.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the under. I think, obviously it's a leave it all out there, on the field kind of game, but I think he's going to be a little bit more conservative of his body. Look, he's played a lot of fucking games this year.
Yeah. He also knows what it's like to get hurt in a playoff game.
Definitely. Let's go one more prop that we'll look at. Let's go for player sacks. Chris Jones, over under a half sack.
Under.
Got it. What about Nick Bosa? Over under a
Is it
half.
still a half?
Yeah, everybody's line is at a half.
Um Oh no, Mahomes is hard to sack. I'm gonna go under again.
Okay. What about George Karlaftis?
I'm gonna give him the over.
Okay. And then finally, Javon Hargrave.
Under.
All right. Well, that's all the picks for the props. So if you can bet, go ahead and bet. All right. Our final decision, our Super Bowl 58 pick.
Oh
Who you got?
man. Yeah, I'm never gonna pick against the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Damn.
I've really decided that. Yeah, and if the 49ers win, they'll tie us in Super Bowl wins. So I'm gonna go Chiefs 28-24.
Okay. I got to go with the 49ers. I, yeah, I can't go otherwise. I can't tell myself to just pick the Chiefs because of Patrick Mahomes. There's too many reasons for me to pick the 49ers. All the sharps are on the 49ers. Everybody's like, oh, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, all this shit on why you should pick the Chiefs. I got to follow the guys that make the money betting on sports. The line has kind of moved in San Fran's favor, at least spread wise. So they're still the favorite. They opened up at a 2.5-point favorite. All of the money got put on Kansas City, essentially. Like a majority of the money is on Kansas City to cover 2.5. So that line moves all the way to 1.5 now. So San Fran is less of a favorite, which favors the pockets.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for San Fran, and I'm going to take them 27-24.
I wanna add something to this too.
Okay.
Let's do a Super Bowl MVP prediction and
I was
just
about
like
to
a
ask
little
that.
stat
So,
line. Little stat line.
yeah.
Um,
Considering I have the 49ers, I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey. I think that's a pretty easy one. I'm going to say he goes for 120, a rushing touchdown, and he's going to have 5 receptions, 35 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown.
okay. I the last time these two teams were in the Super Bowl, I think I picked Travis Kelce. And I think I'm gonna go back to it again. I'm gonna go like 7 receptions, 85 yards, but 2 touchdowns.
All right.
Yep.
Final thing, prop betters again, Kyle Juszczyk. Over on receptions, over on yards. His line, under 0.5 receptions, and his receiving yard line, over under 3.5. In the playoff games that he's played in, he's hit that like, I think 90%, or maybe
Wow.
higher. So, I think the last 2 games he's had 2 receptions or at least 1 reception and at least like 10 yards. So I think that one's an easy money. Parlay them together because obviously he's going to have to get a reception to get the receiving yards. So easy pick there. All right. That's our Super Bowl recap. I'm very excited to watch this
Me
game.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
All right, Sunday, 6:30. And then, of course, you'll have me and Colin, our live reaction after the game that you'll get to listen to on Monday. For now, let's get into our list. Our final list before our top 10 starting pitchers of the season last year. Now, relief pitchers and closers. And I'm gonna take the lead on this one, if you don't mind, Luke.
Yeah. Of course. Go
So
ahead.
this was a very, very, very hard list to make. Easily, in my opinion, the hardest one to not only pick my 5, but to put them in the order I wanted them in. Very difficult. I've got 7 honorable mentions. I'll preface with that. So yeah, it was real difficult. Honestly, we probably should have just done top 10 for this one. But it was already decided we were doing top 5. And I'm going to start off my top 5 with David Bednar of the Pittsburgh Pirates. There is just something so nice about a closing pitcher that's all about the fastball. And that is exactly David Bednar. And the guy still makes people miss. Obviously, the surface level stats, whatever. 2 ERA, 39 saves. Boring, boring stats. I care much more about the deep stats with David Bednar. I love his pitch mix, four seam, curveball, and he throws kind of a splitter changeup kind of pitch. Throws the fastball 58% of the time. He's in the 88th percentile for just fastball run value. So just with the fastball, he's fantastic. 96th percentile chase percentage, 89th percentile whiff percentage for a guy to throw a fastball 58% of the time and actually make people miss that much is ridiculous. And that changeup splitter thing, whatever you want to call it, an average launch angle off that pitch of 3. That is amazing for an
Huh.
off-speed pitch.
Wow.
To not allow people to get it up in the air is fantastic. So shout out David Bednar. Fun fact, David Bednar had a 34.5 out of the zone swing percentage, which was a 5.5% improvement over last year.
Wow. Yeah, fantastic pitcher. He just like that split change just it sounds like if he misses, he always misses the right way.
Yeah, it's
He never
crazy.
misses high.
It is crazy.
Um all right, for my number 5 I went with Yinir Kano. This guy he's interesting. He's an interesting pitcher in the league. 29 years old and it's his second year in the league. He is from I think is it Cuba? Is that where or
Yenir?
is it
Yeah, he's from Cuba,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, so came from Cuba in 2022. Didn't play that many games. Had finished with an 11.50 ERA in 13 games. So he was struggling, but this year was amazing. He was called up from the minors in mid-April, and he retired the first 24 batters that he faced. Incredible. 2.11 ERA, 65 Ks, and 8 saves, and he did amazing whenever Felix Bautista got hurt. And the fact that Josh Hader is added to the trio of Felix Bautista, Yinir Kano, I'm good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Who do you want to close? Pick one.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, Yinir Kano, absolutely fantastic. I honestly wish he was in the MLB longer. But yeah, I really really like this guy.
Yeah, he went from
Fantastic.
last year being, or not last year, the year before being statistically one of the worst relievers in the league to easily one of the best. Unfortunately, didn't make my list. Honorable mention. He is literally next guy up for the list. But my number 4 is the little brother of the guy who would have been on this list if we did it in 2022. Give me Alexis Diaz of the Cincinnati Reds. This guy is the complete opposite of David Bednar as a closer. They are totally different. For Alexis Diaz, it's all about the slider. 51% sliders this year, and that slider, 88 miles per hour on average. He's in the 98th percentile for breaking ball run value, and he is literally the guy for baseball nerds. Just an absolute advanced stat demon. I don't really care about the surface level stats. Yeah, 37 saves is great. 3 ERA, not that great for a closer. I care about the advanced numbers. 33.2 inches of drop on the slider with only 4 inches of break. That's just weird. You don't see that on a slider. To drop that much without breaking right to left, like really at all, is insane. But the biggest thing for Alexis Diaz, and it's one of my favorite things for a pitcher, is the 100th percentile in extension. On average, he releases the ball 7.7 feet from the pitcher's mound. That's ridiculous. He gets so far down the mound that his fastball, that's only 94.5 miles per hour on average, shows up so much faster because he's cutting off 7, almost 8 feet of distance from him to the pitcher. It is such an underrated stat that people don't look at, and it's a huge asset in his game that really helps him out. Is he doesn't throw a hard fastball, but he has the extension to make it look faster.
Yep.
So that's it. Alexis Diaz.
I like that. I totally forgot to mention Yunior Kano's baseball savant. All that really is of note out of here is he doesn't walk really many people, and his fastball is probably one of the best in the league. I
Yeah.
just wanted to add that because I forgot. Number 4 is where I had David Bednar. Really solid ERA, 80 strikeouts, 39 saves, and kind of just to bounce off what you said about him, he made a lot of improvements in 2023. Well, not necessarily a lot, but a lot of just tweaks that I really liked. And to your point, the fastball was one of them. He started throwing it more outside of the zone, which I mean, just his chase rate exploded from 2022 to 2023. He did very well there. Um, and he also cut his home runs per nine in a very good way as well. So that I mean, you pretty much already mentioned everything, but David Bednar was my number 4. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it was so much fun to watch. My next guy is a guy that probably a lot of people don't even know. But this guy was absolutely insane, and it's Tanner Scott of the Miami Marlins. This guy was unhittable, and nobody talks about him. Nobody gives him his credit. This guy's got the reddest baseball savant page you're going to find. 9 stats in the 90th percentile or better, and he's not even a closer. 98th percentile pitching run value, 98th percentile breaking run value, 99th percentile expected ERA, 91st expected batting average, 90th fastball velo, 97th average exit velo, 99 chase percentage, 97th whiff percentage, 98 K percentage, 96 barrel percentage, 99 hard hit percentage. It's actually insane to look at this guy's numbers. He had a 2.31 ERA, 78 innings pitched, 12 saves, a .99 WHIP. He was the co-leader in FWAR for relief pitchers, including closers, and he was a huge part of Miami's success this season. They were 30-12 in one-run games, and a big part of that is due to Tanner Scott shutting it down whenever he entered the game. A lot of eighth inning, little bit of ninth inning work. He was fantastic, and he took a huge step forward with his command in 2023. He took his walk percentage down 7.4% this season, which was the best change in the MLB in walk percentage. He's also all about drop. His slider has 34.8 inches of drop. That's 3 inches above average for the league. His fastball, 13.6 inches of drop. That's 1.3 inches above the average. And he's got a 16 run value on the slider. He also increased his first pitch strike percentage by 15.2%, all the way up to 70.1%. And final thing, he only allowed 3 home runs this year, and he didn't give up a single no-doubter.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at this guy's baseball savant right now, and I don't understand how I haven't heard of him. This guy
Yeah.
looks like the greatest pitcher of all time.
Well, you probably never heard of him because he sucked the first 2 seasons, or like for a majority of his career, honestly, and just has showed up at age 29 and absolutely killed it for the Marlins last season.
Wow. Well, all right, my turn. Number 3. I went with Josh Hader. I didn't realize how bad Josh Hader was in 2022. I mean, a
Yeah.
5.22 ERA out of a guy like Josh Hader is not something that you want at all. But 2023, it's all the way down to a 1.28. That is more like it. He is actually first in ERA among anybody on my list. 85 Ks. Probably out of anybody on my list, he probably has the most well-rounded as far as fastball and breaking ball. He's not just a fastball guy. He does throw it more often, but it's not like that's his best pitch. It's just the one that he throws the most often. I mean, another very red baseball savant. You cannot hit him hard. His expected batting average is in the 100th percentile with a 1.57 or a .157. Crazy. His K rate's in the 99th percentile. He's unbelievable. Expected ERA's in the 99th percentile as well. And yeah, just looking forward, the fact that he's on the Orioles, I don't even know what that's going to look like. That's just
Wait,
ridiculous.
who? Hold on. What?
Josh Hader.
No, he's not. He's on the
Why does it say on
Astros.
Baseball Savant? Did he get drafted to the Orioles?
Yeah.
Okay, I was reading it wrong. Well, that's still kind of unfair with Ryan Presley there. But um, definitely like Josh Hader a lot. Sad that he's on the Astros now, but he made my number 3.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately I left him off my list.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of like it wasn't his best year because he's had so many best years. So like I was more
Yeah.
valuing some of the guys that like really made improvements. And for my number 2 is a guy that really improved, and it's his former teammate Devin Williams. I think people need to remember with Devin Williams, he was never a closer until the Brewers traded Josh Hader in 2022. This
Yeah.
is his first full season as a closer, and he had 36 saves, and he had a 90% save conversion rate. That's ridiculous for a guy who was not a closer 2 years ago. And guess what? Slowest average fastball on my list. And he's also 100th percentile in extension, just like Alexis Diaz, who has the second slowest fastball on my list. He's also got 7.7 feet from the mound on average, so which is insane. So my message for aspiring pitchers is that you don't have to throw 100, but you can make it look like 100, and that's what you
Yeah.
do with an extension like that. It's all
Yeah.
about reaction time. Guys have no reaction time, and the best part about him is that he throws a changeup 57% of the time.
S1 in the league.
It is absurd. Like if you're
Yeah.
once again, message for the young pitchers, you should be studying Devin Williams' changeup. It's a legendary pitch. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. It's a legendary pitch. 41.3 inches of drop. That's 5.5 inches of drop better than the league average, which is quite a big difference. Think about
Yeah.
how big 5 inches is. Think about it.
I
Yeah.
was not expecting
No,
that.
I wasn't really anticipating doing that, but also the break. He's getting right to left 19.8 inches from his release point. That's ridiculous. That's 4.7 inches above average. Like the incremental difference between everybody else and Devin Williams' changeup is crazy. So
Yep.
yeah, and of course the 99th percentile on like everything that's important for a closing pitcher. He also has that.
Yeah, and I'll just bounce off of you because he's also my number 2. That 99th percentile is in K rate, whiff rate, no, not hard hit, but expected batting average, and then he has a 98th percentile in expected ERA. And what I don't understand about this guy is how are you supposed to hit a changeup like his when he is extending 7.7 feet?
It's crazy.
Like, I get it. Like, if someone's throwing triple digits with an extension like that, that's also unfair.
Yeah.
But you got to think of the movement on his changeup, and he's making the distance from pitch to batter that much smaller. What the, like, literally,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah, and it really comes down to the spin as well. He's putting so much spin on that changeup that the action of the ball is just not at all possible to read. And because how close he gets to you, it's much harder to look at the laces. You're not going to see laces on a pitch that's spinning like that at 84 miles an hour and is going to move like that. And for righty batters especially, you are fucked on that changeup
Yeah.
because he's throwing it
Yeah.
from the right. So not only are you're cutting yourself, okay, I'm about to get real in depth. You're cutting your
Yeah.
view off watching his arm angle because he comes not over the top, but he comes straight through his shoulder. So it's all on the same plane when he goes to throw. That one really tricks right-handed batters. And because of his release point and how he kind of brings it, it's weird. He kind of, I know this isn't on camera, he kind of holds his arm back here when he comes to throw, and he brings his forearm through and then follows with his elbow and shoulder. It's a hard one to read because it's all level. And when
Yeah.
he releases it that far down the mound, it's not like any other pitch where it comes from the top and it comes in. It comes straight and then it drops.
Yeah.
Like, it is ridiculous to try and hit off Devin Williams. If I was
Yeah.
in the batter's box against him, I would shit myself if I saw that changeup.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, 1.53 ERA, solid. He was third on my list among ERA, 87 Ks. These are, obviously just those surface stats there. But yeah, I mean, easily number 2 on my list.
Yeah,
Easily.
yeah. And number one, pretty easy. Despite his injury that kept him out of, I think, the whole final month of the season and the playoffs, Felix Bautista was insane. Absolutely insane this
Oh
season.
man.
And I don't even know how. I don't know how he got to this point. He was pretty good in 2022, but come on. This year was different. At
Yeah.
1.48 ERA, 33 saves. He had a stretch where he converted 12 straight save opportunities. You
Hmm.
just don't do that. That doesn't happen. And it's real hard to find somebody with 4 100th percentiles on Baseball Savant. And he's
Hmm.
got it, an expected ERA, expected batting average, whiff percentage, and K percentage. And the other stuff isn't too bad either. 87th percentile and chase percentage isn't bad, but there's 70% fastballs, and goddamn are they fast. Average miles per hour, hundo. That's crazy. In the first place, he throws a pretty solid changeup that he only throws 25% of the time, and it's still 89 miles an hour on a changeup. The pitching run value, 98th percentile. Um, Look, I know we have so much to talk about with him, but I'm just going to kind of hit my fun fact and let you take over. At
All right.
18.9 seconds on average, he has the slowest tempo with bases empty in the league last season.
What does that mean?
So, from essentially right after a pitch, takes him 18.9 seconds, which is right about the pitch clock.
Yeah.
um, so yeah,
He's
Felix
got to
Bautista.
charge up.
He's a slow mover, except for when he's throwing the ball, because he's also a mountain. He is 6'8", 285.
I was about to say, like, what a unit. He
Yeah,
could be like a power forward if you wanted to.
yeah,
I mean, that's
he's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Uh, I mean, yeah, just to once again kind of bounce off, of you, his not known for his breaking ball or his off-speed pitch, but his off-speed run value is still in the 95th percentile. That's
Yeah,
kind of ridiculous. And then his extension, he's in the 64th percentile, but when you throw triple digits and your changeup is 89 miles an hour, you kind of got a balance there. And also what's really cool to note of him is his hard hit percentage is in the 81st percentile, but he throws so fucking
yeah,
hard. You would think it would be higher or lower rather. Sorry,
yeah,
but yeah, he's just what a crazy player, man. What a crazy player.
yeah, yeah. And like, one of the best things that you can go look at is his heat map for his four seam fastball. He threw 696 fastballs last year, and his red area up and in on a righty, painted. It's insane. And like, he does not really leak out of the strike zone much.
Yeah.
He is genuinely insane. So yeah, that's the end of the list. I think we both had pretty good lists. I think, we both had guys that we left off maybe we shouldn't have. So there's quite a few honorable mentions. Like I said, I I got it down to 13 or 12 people trying to consider for this top five. I found my five. I'm still not confident that I had it right. But I've got 7 honorable mentions if you'd like me to run through them.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So, first, Josh Hader. Duh. Second, Yennier Cano. Both those guys kind of even right there at like the 6, 7. And then Camilo Doval was fantastic. He just had a bad stretch where he could not get a save to help himself. Yohan Duran is one of my favorite just flamethrowers in this league. Emmanuel Clase led the league in saves. He was not going to touch this top five as soon as I looked at his numbers because I think he also led the league in blown saves. Um, he's a volume shooter. He was the Jordan Poole, not Jordan Peele, Jordan
Jordan Peele.
Poole of last season. And then Evan Phillips of the Dodgers was great. And this one hurts. Chris Martin was great for the Red Sox. I miss Chris Martin. He was very good in the COVID year for the Braves.
Yeah.
I would assume I probably hit on all of your honorable mentions if you had any with
No,
that
the only one that I
long
would have had
list.
was the Reds guy.
Oh, Alexis Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Jordan Romano had a good season. I
Yeah,
kind
he
of
was pretty
looked
good.
at
He kind
him
of
on my
fell
list
off.
as well.
Yeah, he kind of fell off near the end. Oh wait, there was somebody else. Oh, Matt Brash of Seattle. I think he had the most
Hmm.
games pitched and had a 2.1 WAR. So he was very good. Um, narrowly missed making into the honorable mentions. Um,
Yeah, it's weird with closing pitchers, and we were talking about
yeah.
this a little bit before we started recording. But like the closing pitcher, I feel like literally every team in the MLB has a good closing pitcher because the closing pitcher is technically probably like the
He's the
would
best
you say like
reliever.
the best pitcher? Yeah.
Yeah,
So like all of them are gonna be good. It's just some are gonna be better than others.
definitely. I'll tell you what, not a single Brave made it anywhere near my list.
Yeah, or a
Um,
Yankee.
yeah, that too. You could have made a case for Clay Holmes. And honestly, I probably could have made a case for AJ Minter, but they certainly weren't making the top five. They were close to the honorable mentions.
No, Kenley Jansen was up there in saves, wasn't he, at the end of the year?
I don't know. Um, I would assume he was. No, he wasn't. I don't. I don't even see him on the list.
Wow.
Rizal Iglesias was up there. He was ninth. Paul Sewald as well. He was very good. A lot of playoff
Yeah,
success for Paul Sewald.
I was about to say.
All right. Are we ready to get into some soccer?
Let's do it, man.
All righty then. Premier League, I think it's match week like 22, 23. I can't keep up with it at this point. Uh all I know is that Newcastle's in good form. That's all that matters to me. I'm going to preface this by saying me and Luke did something that has never before been done in the history of this podcast. And that is to correctly predict the score. Both of us correctly predicted the score of a match. Never has happened
Yeah.
before, and we literally both made the same prediction: 3-1 Arsenal over Liverpool, and it actually happened. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I know. That's a high five right there. Oh no,
Yeah,
we had to do like
yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
Other way. Nope, you go the other way.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah, perfect. Uh, yeah, that caught me off guard when I saw that final score. I was like, "Oh my god, we actually did it!"
hey, you know what though? Yay us!
Yeah,
Yay
yeah,
us!
go us. All right, well then let's get into some of the big ones for this weekend. Let's start with Tottenham versus Brighton. Both these teams
Hmm.
in interesting form, honestly. Tottenham, their last match, a 2-2 draw with Everton, while Brighton had a 4-1 win over Crystal Palace. And then you go back to the match before it, Brighton got routed by Luton Town 4-0, but Tottenham got a 3-2 win over Brentford. These two teams are in the weirdest form they've been this season, and it just doesn't seem like they can get it figured out right now.
Yeah, that 2-2 draw with Tottenham and Everton was interesting because it's a shitty result for Tottenham, but Richarlison scored twice in this game.
Yeah,
When is the last time he has scored multiple goals in one game?
it's certainly been a while. He
Um,
might have been at
and it's
Everton.
exactly. And what I'm going to predict here is we have really like since this podcast started loved to shit on Richarlison. But I'm going to offer some hope for him. And that is the fact that James Madison being his cam is probably the best thing he could need for his career right now.
Yeah.
And even Timo Werner, out there on the left wing, Timo Werner has historically been a decent winger you can stick out there. Um, of course, with Tottenham's depth, I would kind of hope that maybe Werner would replace Richarlison if
Yeah.
Richarlison
I
kind
think
of
it's just
stays
because
on the
Hwang-Min
decline.
Son is was still at Asia Cup at this point,
Yeah,
which is a whole nother story. The fact that
yeah.
they wow. Um, but they lost to Jordan, right?
Yeah, the final is Jordan and Qatar. No
That's
Australia, South
crazy.
Korea, or Japan in
Crazy.
the final.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, but I would assume that Werner is at left wing or left mid until Hwang-Min Son returns. Um, I would assume they I don't know because James Madison also needs to be in this lineup. Maybe, like, I guess James Madison does have experience on the right. You could put James Madison over Brennan Johnson and keep both Richarlison and Timo Werner in the lineup.
yeah, definitely.
I'm going to
I
be
just feel like
interested.
with
I'm interested to see what Ange is going to do.
yeah, the thing with putting cams that can play wings out on the wing is I feel like you take away a lot
Yeah,
from their creative
I
ability.
agree
That's the only thing.
for sure.
Um, it's not like he couldn't do it. It's
Yeah,
just I feel like he could do more for your team at cam. And then Brighton side, yeah, just once again another weird team to talk about with how you mentioned their form early on. Because I mean, their last game they routed Crystal Palace, but the game before that they were the ones getting routed. So
yeah.
not really too sure what to go for with Brighton here. They just looked really good against a Crystal Palace team that's not all that bad.
Yeah, like they're
And
not the
I think
worst.
I may have had Crystal Palace winning this game even.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I had Brighton. I don't think I had them 4-1. I think I had them 3-1. Um, but I love what I've seen from Brighton at moments. That's the problem this
Yeah,
season for Brighton. It's a lot of moments, and it's not a lot of like weeks on end that they're looking
yeah,
good. And that just kind of keeps hurting them, especially in the table. It's hurting them. They've stooped down relatively low in the table, all the way down to 8. This is a team going into the year. I thought they were a top 4 contender, and I really liked what they had been doing. It just doesn't seem like they have all the firepower they needed. They certainly showed it against Crystal Palace. Pascal Gross played amazing. And yeah, Pedro has been good. Evan Ferguson's been good. And I think people need to remind themselves this Brighton team is very, very young. There are 3 attackers in this game were Yao Pedro, Ferguson, and then Boanate, the Argentinian. Ferguson's the oldest of the, or no, sorry. Yao Pedro's the oldest of the group at 22. Ferguson and Boñate are both 19. That's crazy.
wow.
And so yeah, like I really like Brighton. I just the youth and just the inconsistency is definitely an issue. And still missing Solly March, still missing Matoma, still missing Enciso. These are important guys to this lineup that they're missing at the moment. Um, so it definitely hurts them. I think I'm going to go in Tottenham's favor this week. I'm going to take them 2-1.
2-1. Okay. 2-1 over Tottenham.
No, I'm taking Tottenham 2-1 over
Tottenham
Brighton.
2-1. Okay. Um, I'm gonna go out on a little bit of a limb here, and I'm gonna go 1-1 draw. Uh,
All right.
I think Brighton could maybe build off of this. We've seen them build off of good form before, especially at the beginning of the season. They just I feel like a 1-1 draw against Tottenham would be a win for how their form's kind of been very inconsistent, like you pointed out. So I'm gonna go 1-1 draw.
All right. Well, then let's get into the next game. West Ham versus Arsenal. West Ham been a very interesting topic this year. Kind of just epitomizing average at a lot of times. A 0 goal differential. They do sit in 7th place though at the moment. Arsenal, obviously, big win last week against Liverpool. They looked extremely, extremely good. Probably one of their best complete performances by this team outside of Kai Havertz playing striker, which you know very well is a problem. Luckily, they
Yeah.
have goal scorers around him, unlike when Kai Havertz used to play striker. So that definitely played in their favor. You had goals coming from Bukayo Saka as early as the 14th minute, and then Martinelli and Trossard. Honestly, Liverpool didn't even really score a goal. You had an own goal uh, by Gabriel. So, and then Konyate getting sent off for Liverpool. It was disgusting by Liverpool. That play was horrible. That whole game. Um, so yeah, Arsenal looks fantastic right now. West Ham horrible, horrible right now. They lost
Yeah.
3-0 to Man U, and Man U like they got manhandled. Yeah, Rasmus Højlund continues the good form. Alejandro Garnacho scoring 2 goals in this game is
Mm.
crazy. Once again, this this young attack looks very good for Manchester United. Højlund and Garnacho look great right now. Kobe Mainu didn't have his best performance, but prior he scored the winner against Wolves
Yeah.
last week. So like he's looked good. This wasn't his best match, but we saw Casemiro doing very good as kind of a deep-seated playmaker in this match, which is how he should be playing. Bruno Fernandes got himself an assist. Marcus Rashford continues to struggle, especially in front of goal right now. Um, what do you think is the problem at the moment for Rashford?
That's a really that's honestly a good question because I don't really understand how the team has changed very much since last season because
No.
for a while there it's Marcus Rashford was like probably one of the best players in the world last season.
Yeah,
He was absolutely phenomenal.
certainly.
Um I I don't know. I really don't know. I cannot put a finger on it. I just think that there's so much there's so much other stuff going on with Manchester United that isn't on the pitch.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
that's really the only thing I can put. But I don't really think you can necessarily put all that on Marcus Rashford, though.
No, I've certainly heard the rumors about Rashford, and that kind of the locker room has turned on him a little bit. They're kind of tired of
I
him
have
being
heard that.
selfish.
Yeah.
That seems to be a trend. Thus far. They also did get a big loss in this game, which was Lissandro Martinez going down yet again uh,
Mm.
for Manchester United. But let's go back to West Ham because we weren't even talking about Manchester United. They're actually our next game. I kind of forgot about it. But for Arsenal, they're getting real close to quite a few guys coming back from injury. Gabriel Jesus is questionable going into this one. Same goes for Jorginho and Fabio Vieira. But Zinchenko should be back in a matter of weeks. Urian Timber about a month away. Thomas Partey close to being ready to come back as well. This could be a time for Arsenal to be hitting their stride. Obviously, you pick up some momentum. They're on 3 straight wins. Obviously, the routing of Crystal Palace a couple weeks ago, a 2-1 win over Nottingham Forest, and then this 3-1 win over Liverpool. Um, Arsenal's on their best form yet, and they're only 2 points clear of the lead in the league.
Yeah. eh, Basically, to go off of that, West Ham is about to hit just a brick wall at
Yeah,
2 miles an hour
yeah,
because they don't have any form. Arsenal has all of the form. Um, and yeah, West Ham, I really like their lineup. I love all of the players that they have on their team. And, we kind of, I would say a couple months ago, were really hopeful for this West Ham team. And, they still have really good performances from their newer players. Like Edison Alvarez has been solid for them.
yeah,
Kudus has been solid for them. But I don't necessarily think they really added the right piece. Like, yeah, all those players have been great, but you just left yourself without a striker. And now you're scrambling, starting Jared Bowen, and it's just even worse than Mikel Antonio, in
yeah,
my opinion. So, West Ham, they're a lot better than what their form is. I will say that, but that doesn't disclose them from being on
yeah.
bad form, if that makes sense. So, I'm gonna go ahead and give a score prediction here. I'm actually probably gonna go like 4-1 Arsenal. I think it's gonna be a big
Wow.
game.
Okay.
for Arsenal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look, West Ham, I like that you say they're going to score because West Ham's defense has been abysmal. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 5 matches. They haven't won a match in 6 matches. Um, they're ranked 10th in goals scored per match, so the offense hasn't been good either. Um, yeah, I think we're going to see a routing by Arsenal. I'm going to go for 3-0 and say that they'll get the clean sheet, considering Arsenal leads the Premier League in clean sheets this season with an 8.
I like it.
Um, all right, our
Oh,
final
and how about
match. Oh, sorry.
Areola got subbed out at halftime in that game against
Yeah,
United too.
yeah.
Fabianski, the Polish keeper, came in.
I
Um,
believe he sustained some minor injury and just because I watched that match last week. Um, it looked like he just kind of got banged up at some point and was definitely moving a little slower. And then they went into the half like right after that, and people were kind of asking if he was going to get subbed out or not, and he ended up getting subbed out.
yeah, and on top of that, I totally forgot that West Ham have Danny Ings, and yeah, sure he
Yeah,
might be old, but he might be the striker. I would play him over Jared Bowen for sure.
I agree.
I would.
All
Yeah.
right, our final match: Aston Villa versus Manchester United. So, like we alluded to with Manchester United, um, they got fortunate with Lissandro Martinez's injury that it's only a sprained knee, but he's still going to be out till mid March. No Mason Mount. I think he's still hurt. Um, but otherwise, the injuries aren't a big deal. But they're running into a Villa team that is pretty good, despite the fact they lost to Chelsea 3-1 over the weekend in the FA Cup.
Yeah, and they lost to a Chelsea with once again Cole Palmer at striker.
Yes, sir. And
You love it.
and Nicholas Jackson at left mid.
And scored.
Yeah, I
Oh
like
man, I don't know.
Poch put together this lineup in the most ridiculous way possible and beat one of the best teams in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really just don't get it. Yeah, does Reece James even play for Chelsea anymore?
No, no, he doesn't.
I don't think so either.
I don't know if he ever will.
Um, I don't either. I think really what happened to Aston Villa here is I think it's just a matter of depth. Chelsea had the depth. Aston Villa doesn't.
Yeah,
Lingley is just not the defender that you want to be starting anymore. In the Premier League, I don't think him going from La Liga to the Premier League has transferred that well for him. Ollie Watkins has been on a little bit of a downturn lately. He didn't necessarily have a bad game against Chelsea. It's just if you're a striker, you got to score. And yeah, bottom line, I just think Aston Villa fell to a Chelsea team that just had more depth than them in this one. So
yeah.
I don't know if this. I don't know if we can really go off of this game for Aston Villa in terms of how they're going to look against Manchester United.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. I don't think we'll see this exact same lineup either. Obviously it was an FA Cup match. Maybe they're not putting quite as much weight into those matchups. But if you go back to their last Premier League game, they beat the shit out of Sheffield United. And I know Sheffield United is as good as relegated at the moment. Um, but like I haven't seen this bad of a performance by a team in a while, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Aston Villa is just so good, and Unai Emery knows what he's doing with this team. He has put together a team of good players, not great players. He put together a team of good players and made them a great team, and I think that's the biggest thing. They play so well together that nobody independently is just outstanding. Obviously, Ollie Watkins had a fantastic game against Sheffield United. He's their striker, sole guy up front. He had 2 assists and a goal. Tielemans
Yeah.
scored a goal. Douglas Luiz had an assist. McGinn and Moreno on the left side both scored goals. Leon Bailey scored a goal. And you had Emiliano Martinez play great at keeper. This defense is fantastic, especially when Pau Torres is in over Langley. Um,
Yeah.
and Diego Carlos has been one of the better center backs this season in the Premier League. They have a team to win matches, but when you have a game like Chelsea or like Newcastle 2 weeks ago, you're not gonna look good, and that's the problem. They are a little bit unpredictable. Obviously, we know they're gonna play great, but when they come up against a good team, how great are they gonna look?
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest question mark with Villa, and it's kind of a question mark for Manchester United as well.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
I will say Manchester United unbeaten in 5 matches, but it's the goals scored that they just simply fall short in. They're 14th in the league in goals scored per match. On the other end, Aston Villa third in goals scored per match with 2.1 goals per match.
Mm.
That's amazing to be scoring 2 goals a match.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go with Villa just because I think the inexperience and kind of streakiness of Højlund and Garnacho's performances are going to hurt them.
No Martinez.
Yeah, no Martinez is definitely a big miss, considering the attack that Aston Villa has. And then as well for Manchester United, if you guys can find Marcus Rashford wherever the fuck you put him, um, he'll do great. If you keep rolling out this random guy that wears his jersey, you're going to lose. And I think that's what's going to happen this weekend. I'm going to take Villa 3-1.
Wow, I like that. I got a question for you before I give my score prediction.
Yeah.
If you're Eric Ten Hag, which I'm
I'm
really
not.
glad you're not.
I have a full head of hair,
Yeah,
quite a lot of it, actually.
and you have a brain.
True.
Would you do you start Kobe Manu or Scott McTominay?
It's tough, dude. Scott McTominay has been great. I don't understand how he ended up on the bench in the first place.
I don't know either. I really don't.
I can't explain that one. Yeah, it's weird. I feel like okay, I'm gonna say something crazy. I'm gonna bench
I know exactly
Casemiro.
what you're gonna
I'm
say.
benching Casemiro. I'm not even gonna
That's not
bench
what I thought
Bruno
you were gonna say.
Fernandes. I know that's what you were gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bench Bruno Fernandes. Um, honestly, they should have sold Casemiro in January to Saudi Arabia.
That soon after buying him, you think?
Yeah. They need to recoup some money. So they're either going to sell him in January or Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to send him right off in the summer. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Because they need that
That's
money
true.
back, honestly. The way that they sit financially right now, you're not in good standing for financial fair play, so you're going to have to sell people anyways. And Casemiro is a huge salary on the books. And with this new ownership and management of this team coming in, they want to make changes, and you can't make changes when you're handcuffed to an aging player who doesn't have the biggest impact and certainly doesn't have a great track record of staying on the field for Manchester United.
Yeah. That's fair. I would honestly, I would probably try to sell Maguire, Delo, Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno's a weird one.
I'll stop there. Bruno, I listen. My hatred towards Bruno sometimes makes me feel like I need to look in the mirror and ask myself what is wrong with me. But it's just his attitude. I don't
I
like
agree.
him as a captain, but
No,
he
he's
is
not
a
a captain.
great cam. And honestly, what I was gonna say is sell or bench Bruno
Yeah.
and move Casemiro to CDM and then have Tomine take that spot. But then again, what is Garnacho, Højlund, and a struggling Marcus Rashford going to look like without a cam like Bruno?
Exactly. They need that playmaking behind them. I will say that because I'll tell you what, Marcus Rashford ain't doing no playmaking. I know
No,
that.
not anymore.
and
They just block the
McTominay,
numbers.
like when you look at McTominay, Casemiro, and Kobe Manu, like obviously they play the positions differently. Casemiro likes to stay back. Scott McTominay kind of likes to play box to box. Kobe Manu kind of likes to play box to box, but really is just a traditional center mid.
Yeah.
None of them are attacking midfielders.
No.
And that kind of hurts them in a way because they need the attacking midfielder, which they have one, and they have a world-class one. He's just not a good captain.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I think it's easy to hate on Bruno because he's not a good captain, but you can't take away from the fact that he is a very good cam. He's a very good passer, pretty clinical penalty taker as well.
Yeah.
So he is an asset to that team. but I do agree that they could sell him this summer.
Yeah, and honestly, if we're, I know we need to get my score prediction, but I probably wouldn't sell Onana.
I wouldn't
That
either.
that is a keeper. Although he has been memed and drugged through the mud, rightfully so, all
He's
season
turned it
long, he
around,
is a guy that, yeah, he's turned it around, and he's a
definitely.
guy that could probably only get better. But
Yeah,
what was your score prediction again? Just to recap,
I
because we went
think
off
I think I had 3-1 Villa.
3-1 Villa. I already had a 1-1 draw in the first game that we covered. I'm I'm gonna go 3-2 United. I think it's
All
gonna
right,
be a really, really good game.
cool. All
Really, really
right.
good game.
Well, then let's get into one of my favorite things to talk about and watch every year, the Champions League. We have waited long enough since the end of the group stages. We're now into the knockout rounds and got some good matchups for week one. So we're going to be kind of doing this on a week by week basis. So this week we've got two matches each day. So Tuesday and Wednesday. So 4 matches a week. There's obviously 8 matchups. Um, so this week we have Leipzig and Real Madrid on Tuesday, as well as Copenhagen Man City on Tuesday. And then Wednesday we have Lazio Bayern and PSG versus Real Sociedad. We're just kind of previewing leg one of these games. So what are you thinking for leg one at Leipzig for Real Madrid Leipzig?
Man, Real Madrid are just historically such a good Champions League
Yeah.
team, but it's going to be a hard away ground to play at. Leipzig fans are amazing, and Leipzig is a really, really good team. Admittedly, a team that I haven't really kept up with that well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really don't know what they look like after losing Timo Werner. I don't know what's been going on over there, but it's going to be a tough place to go play nonetheless for Real Madrid. But Real Madrid, in my opinion, just has them outclassed at every single position.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the case. Real Madrid's an interesting topic right now because right now they're battling Girona for the lead in La Liga.
They play
But
each other this weekend,
yeah, I know it's a big one.
or
I think
not
it's
this weekend, but
2 points apart right now.
oh, never mind, it's on Saturday. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's a big one.
yeah.
So they've got a big match Saturday, and then they've got to go to Leipzig. Also doesn't play in their favor. But the thing that
So
does play in their favor is that they have one of the best players on the planet and then another one as well. And both of them like to score goals. So I think Jude Bellingham and Vinny are going to be a big part of this team going through this Champions League run. I think, going forward, they're both a big part of this team in general. But Real Madrid's always had their Champions League performers. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo kind of did it in both places, but Gareth Bale had some memorable Champions League moments. And you'd have your years where Karim Benzema had his Champions League moments. That was a big deal. I think those two, Vinny and Bellingham, are going to kind of lead them through. So I think that for game one, I'm going to take Real Madrid, or sorry, I'm going to take a draw just because of the away game. And I'm going to go 2-2.
Um, I'm looking at Leipzig's last four in the Bundesliga, and they're 1-3. They have a 1-0 loss to Frankfurt,
No, I'm
a
regretting it.
2-3 loss to Leverkusen, a 5-2 loss to Stuttgart, and then
Holy
they finally
shit.
get back in winning form, and they have a 2-0 result over Union Berlin, who even had a red card.
Oh my god. I'm taking it back.
So
Real Madrid 2-0.
I'm going
Switching it
to
up.
kind of meet in the middle because it is a hard place to play, and the fans are going to show out. It's probably going to be sold out because it's Real Madrid. So I'm going to go with like a tough 1-0 win for Madrid. But once they take that shit to Spain, you can just send Leipzig packing. I
Yeah.
mean, that's my prediction.
Yeah. As soon as this matchup comes to the Bernabeu, it's over.
Yeah.
100%. Copenhagen Man City. In Copenhagen. Doesn't really matter. Look, Copenhagen was a fantastic story, and we rooted for them to beat Manchester United. But it's so over.
Oh man,
It's so
it's
over.
bad.
They might just forfeit the game in Manchester just to like save money on airfare. It's gonna be really
Yeah.
bad. I'm gonna go 4-0 for game one.
Uh, I don't know. Maybe I just think that the away game and the away fans are too interesting, but I'm gonna give City like a 2-0.
Okay.
Because I
Uh,
mean, Copenhagen already has the advantage of playing a Manchester team,
that's true. They've played in Manchester already, just different place.
which, if we're gonna be realistic, means absolutely
Nope,
nothing.
not at all. Okay, and then Wednesday's
So,
matches: Lazio Bayern. I feel like Lazio could give
tough.
them a little bit. I don't. I haven't really paid too much attention to them outside of the Champions League this season. Do you know where they sit possibly in Serie A? Ninth.
I don't
Ugh.
know.
Oh, wow. Not good. But they have won their last three, so that's good. Um, yeah, look, Bayern is great. Uh, they've also got a big matchup this weekend, I believe. I think they play Bayer Leverkusen, who is notably unbeaten in 30 matches in all competitions this season.
Wow. Where is it showing that they're unbeaten in their last three for you? Because I do not see that.
I don't know. I pulled it up on Google, and it said they won
Oh,
their
okay.
last three Serie A matches.
Really quick, I'm gonna run through Lazio's last five. So Coppa Italia was a 1-0 win over Roma with 3 red cards. That's that Rome rivalry there.
Nice.
Then they beat Lecce 1-0 in the Serie A. Then the Supercoppa Italiana, they lost to Supercoppa Italiana. Love that.
That's a
They lost to
mouthful.
Inter. It is. They
Oh,
lost to
sorry, I
Inter
was looking at
3
it
0.
backwards. I just realized that.
I do that all the time with Google. I do that all the time with
It's
Google.
backwards to how
Um,
it should be.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
obnoxious.
Then a 0-0 draw with Napoli, and then they're coming off their most recent game was a 3-1 loss to Atalanta. Um,
Yeah. Don't shit on Atalanta though. They're
no,
fourth in the
they're
table. They've
solid.
been very good this year, despite losing Rasmus Højlund in the offseason.
Is
But
that where he came from?
yeah, yeah, he spent a year or two.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever
Atalanta.
happened to the Zapata, Christian Zapata, their Atalanta striker for a while, who
Yeah,
was just really solid but never left?
yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I know they do have a couple of good young players. Um, this Belgian guy, Day Ketelaere.
Oh yeah,
He is very
yeah,
good. Only 22 years old. I could definitely see him making a move this summer. Um,
yeah.
he's been amazing. Nonetheless, back to Lazio Bayern. I think Bayern's going to get the win. I know it's in, it's at Lazio, but yeah, Bayern is just so good. They have such a good team. The problem is the dysfunctionalities. Thomas Tuchel has simply not been good enough at Bayern, and I think it's hurting the locker room. It's hurting this team. Um, so that doesn't bode well for them. I still think they get the win, just because their defense is very solid. So I'm gonna take them 1-0 in leg one.
I'm gonna go with a 2-1 for Bayern.
Okay, and then
Yep.
we have the one that we said could have the most upsets when we first saw this draw. PSG Real Sociedad. Very interesting
I
matchup.
really, really like this result, or not result, but this fixture.
Yeah, well, I'll like the result if it goes my way because I love Real Sociedad this season. They haven't been fantastic in their last five. Um, it goes draw, loss, win, draw, draw, and their last two were draws. It is pretty big for them to have drawn with Girona, over the weekend, but I just it's not great. But the way they've played in the Champions
Wow.
League has been very good. I like Real Sociedad. PSG is just, if they're good, they're great. If they're bad, they are atrocious on a week by week basis.
Holy fucking shit! In Real Sociedad's last 6 games, they have 5 clean sheets.
Yeah, no, their defense is insane. They have an
Wow.
11 goal differential, and they sit in sixth place. The only teams better than them are the five teams ahead of them in the table. But there's a significant drop off for the second half of, or kind of, the last, uh, you know, 13 teams or whatever. Like right after them in the table is Valencia with a 2 goal differential. Las Palmas has a 3 goal differential. But Real Sociedad have only scored 32 goals. Um, and they've only given up 21.
Their last 3 games are all 3 nil-nil draws.
Yeah, they're clean sheet machines, man. Um, let's see. So look, they definitely have a chance against PSG. I will say, I saw Marco Asensio get a ridiculous assist to Kylian Mbappe. I don't even know when it was from. I think it was relatively recently. Um, that was cool as fuck. Um, I never knew that Marco
Nice.
Asensio was capable of wowing me, but he did. Um, uh, I'm just because it's in Paris, despite the fact that the Parc des Princes may not be their home soon enough. Um, I'm going to take PSG 1-1. Or, sorry, 1-0.
1-1.
Sorry, 1-0. I just don't trust Real Sociedad
Uh,
to play the offense they need to beat PSG in Paris.
I think yeah, I'm gonna match you on that 1-0 for PSG. But it really in the second leg though, I think things could. What I'm trying to say is that the first leg, if PSG win 1-0, Real Sociedad are not out of it by any means
Agreed.
when it
Yeah,
goes back to
definitely.
Spain. So
Definitely. All right. Well, next week the way we'll kind of do it throughout this round of 16 is we'll recap what happened in the last week's games and we'll preview what's happening in the next week. So you get the preview next week for Inter Atletico Madrid, PSV Dortmund, Porto Arsenal, and Napoli Barcelona. For now, it's questions time.
hell
And
yeah.
we've got a whole big crop of questions. We'll start off with one question here. This one's an interesting one. This is a standalone. Which athlete or team had the best original song released? So not like a team, like not like a fight song, but a song that came out from their players or like a player or a team putting a song out.
So like a athlete that released like a song, basically.
Sure. Yeah. It literally in
Lit.
any
Okay,
facet.
I have the best answer.
Have at it.
When y'all are done listening to this podcast, he's been memed about his artistry a lot. Le'Veon Bell is not that bad.
Yeah.
Shrimp Bayless is a decent song. I'm gonna be honest. I really enjoy that one.
Yeah.
And his album's not that bad
Yeah.
either. So I'd go Le'Veon Bell.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna this one's definitely not the best, but I'm gonna keep it with the Steeler. Put that shit on by Antonio Brown.
What's like the.
Banger. Yeah. Yep. That's it. Banger. But
Oh
the
man.
all-time team putting out a song, which it wasn't really the team, it was a couple of players, was those extremely good Miami teams, that Miami college team, and with who all of them played in the NFL, the Seventh Floor Crew, Tavares T. Gooden, John Big B's Beeson, and Greg G. Reg Olson. Uh, it is a 9-minute song, and the lyrics are fucked up to say the least.
Greg Olson's in there? Like
Oh
the tight
yeah,
end Greg Olson.
yep.
What?
Oh man. Yeah, here, I'll give you a good start to a verse 7 from Greg Olson on this song. What's your name? G Reg. What do you do? Get head. How do you do it? Drop my drawers and let her see my third leg. So yeah. Uh yep. He
Wow.
also in this song says, I'm fin to make these hoes choke on my balls on my dick. I told you the
No way
song's
Greg Olson
fucked
said
up.
that.
It is a fucked up song. The other one Also a Florida university's song. This one, Florida State. It was called Seminole Rap. Um, and they asked a bunch of players whose idea it was. All of them said it was just a bad idea in general. You had Dedrick Dodge from that team, the defensive back, said, "First, let me say it was a bad idea." um, Somebody said
Wow.
that it was inspired by the Chicago Bears Super Bowl Shuffle. Um, but yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, I got one more.
Very interesting. Yeah,
The
go ahead.
the Steelers Super Bowl song.
Yeah,
You know that one?
yeah.
Like the "Here we go,
Pittsburgh's going to the
Steelers."
Super Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Oh man,
That's a legendary song.
that
All
was
right.
good.
Well, let's get into Nathan's questions, Mucho's questions. This week.
Oh
All right. Let's start here. Who do you think's going to throw the first no hitter of the season?
shit. Well, it could be anybody,
Yeah,
and
that's the fun
really,
part.
Domingo Herman taught us all that anything is possible.
Yeah, yeah. You could be a drunk and throw a fucking
Yeah,
perfect game.
you could love going home to punch and throw a perfect
That's a
game.
good point.
Yeah, that's yeah. Anyway,
You could also win a World Series.
um, yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Who's going to throw the first no hitter?
That's right.
But there's a couple
Damn.
people that wish he'd throw one.
Right.
Ah, feels so bad for saying that.
I was trying.
Yeah, that was
I was
bad.
trying. I really I don't know because no hitters can be just anybody.
Yeah, it really can. I'm
Um,
gonna say a random starting pitcher. I'm gonna go with Brady Singer of the Kansas City Royals.
I'm gonna go Marcus Stroman.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, who's gonna be the first touchdown scorer in the big game?
Hmm.
I think it's McCaffrey. I already said that earlier.
I think it's Debo. They're gonna come out in one of
Hmm,
those like Debo McCaffrey packages, and no one really knows how to defend against that still.
it's a
So
good point.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I think. Yeah, so how are they gonna get it? So that's kind of how you said. I think McCaffrey's gonna get a receiving touchdown for like 4 yards.
Okay, I think Debo's gonna get a
Yeah.
rushing touchdown for
Okay,
I don't know
interesting.
5 or 4 yards.
Little role
Yeah.
reversal. If it is the Chiefs, they get the ball first. Who else but Travis Kelce to get that first touchdown?
Uh, I'm gonna go like Pacheco
Okay.
first touchdown.
Um, all right. How many attempts would it take you to hit a home run at Truist Park? I'll pull up the dimensions for you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
assume for
thank
you
you.
it's infinite. Uh,
Yeah.
but you might square one up. There's no telling. Okay. So at Truist Park, left field is 335 feet. Left center 385, center field 400, right center 375, right field into the chop house with that high wall 325.
I would give myself 70 attempts to hit a home run.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
well,
I'm getting like a major league BP thrower, um give me honestly, I hate to do this to you. I'm probably going to need 70 to hit a home run. Cuz I'm going to be
okay,
pulling to
so
the to left field and it is a kind of a short wall in left field into the bullpen. Um, but I do put the ball on the ground quite a bit. I was actually going through some of my old tweets, and when the Pirates had the first pick in the draft, I think 2 years ago, I said, "Hey Pirates, I'm available if you want somebody that hits a lot of ground balls and can scoop every other ball at first base."
that's good. No, you're right. It would take me infinite.
Yeah,
That's wouldn't do that.
yeah, it would
Couldn't.
take me a lot of work to do it. I think the problem is that my arms would hurt far too early into this.
Just with swinging and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Dude, I would give you 20 attempts.
No, you're
You're a
far
baseball player,
overestimating me.
bro.
It doesn't matter. If it was
With a professional BP?
Colin, I think Colin could probably get it in 10. It like at the least. I
Yeah,
could not. I'm gonna say like 50 is generous to me because I simply
yeah.
was not like a power hitter. I was like a line drive guy, grounder guy.
Okay.
Um, all right, who do you think? Or sorry, do you think you could get a steal off an MLB pitcher? Well, my obvious answer is no. Though I was quite good at stealing bases. Surprisingly, I think it was more of a fact
I
nobody thought I'd run.
oh, um, I would say yeah. I have some wheels. I would just I
It's
would
all
have to
about
time it
IQ,
right
though.
because
Yeah,
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 if I had attempts to do it, I
yeah,
would say that probably the first couple, the pitcher would probably fuck with me and I'd look like a dick ass.
yeah.
But I know I have the speed, but like you said, it's all about the IQ. So I think I could, but it would take some tries.
Yeah, see, like if I'm facing Max Fried, he's picking me off before I even steal, probably every time. Give me John Lester on the mound, I'm gone. I got that. I got it
Yeah,
for sure.
I like that.
And also, I need a pretty bad catcher behind the plate, at least defensively,
Yeah.
bad catcher. Um,
Give me an R.A. Dickey knuckleball. I'm gonna steal.
that he spikes into the dirt. Um,
Yeah.
this is an interesting one. What's your favorite shirt pattern?
Um, what?
I don't know.
Uh,
Nathan
Plaid.
obviously was looking at a shirt, I guess. Um,
Plaid.
yeah, I'm gonna go. Honestly, I don't wear a lot of shirts with patterns. If you guys have noticed, I often wear solid colored t-shirts. If we're talking
You
like,
could count that as a pattern.
yeah, I
Solid.
guess. Um, I don't know if I had to have a pattern, I'd go for like kind of like the Hawaiian print. That's kind of my go-to. I own
Oh,
a number of Hawaiian shirts.
dad on vacation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I give
Oh
off
yeah.
big dad energy on the lake in the summer. Definitely. All right.
Nice.
Final question. How many pairs of shoes do you own and what's your favorite? Well, this is just kind of a layup for Brooks, of course.
Uh,
Easily.
yeah, I would say that my favorite pair of shoes that I own right now is the Nike Waffle.
Really?
It's yeah, casually accepted, unlike
For sure.
Brooks, because
For sure.
Brooks are like you're comfortable.
Yep.
Um, Obviously Brooks have the Nike Waffle in every comfort. Every pair of Brooks I own is more comfortable than my Nike Waffles, but the Waffles are just enough comfort and they give you that element of fashion that the Nike Waffle is probably my
Yeah.
favorite shoe I own right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many pairs of shoes you got like in rotation?
Um
You
well,
wear
with the
quite a
Brooks
few different
sponsorship,
shoes.
yes. I wore a pair of dress shoes today. I have duck boots, Vans, like 5 pairs of Brooks. I have the Flyknit. Oh my God, why the Vaporfly? No, not the Vapor Max. Fuck,
Yeah,
couldn't
Vapor
think of it.
Max.
Um,
You've got some
yeah,
Pegasus that you
I
wear
have a lot of
sometimes.
shoes. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I have pegs as well. Do
Yeah.
like the peg. What
I've
about you?
I've really only got 3 in rotation. If I'm going comfort, I'm easily taking a pair of glycerins for sure, Brooks glycerins for sure.
Yeah.
My everyday wearer is this same pair of Ultra Boosts. Okay, look, I'm gonna grab my Ultra Boosts. If you'll entertain the people for a second,
Yeah.
and I need you
Of
people to
course.
see how disgusting these Ultra Boosts are. I've wrecked them.
Yeah. See that's the thing about Ultra Boost is like people can just wear those things and they're like 100 close to $200, but like I would say that there is an argument for the Ultra Boost to be our generation of shoe. I like look at these things. I remember I was with him when he bought the motherfuckers. Those things are probably still as comfortable as when you bought them.
Oh yeah, look at that. This little crack here fills up with water if it's been raining.
Oh no.
And it also makes a horrible sound on the ground. Yeah, these are the everyday wears. These are the beaters. I love these things
Oh.
to death. For just like a casual wear because they go with everything. First of all, they glow in the dark, which I didn't notice until I got home after I bought them. Um, So those are the everyday wear, and then I've also got React Infinity in the rotation as well. I don't have the newest ones because for the longest time I couldn't find a 14, which also makes buying shoes hard. Actually, I have 4 shoes in rotation. So I have the Infinity Runs, I have the Glycerins, I have the Ultra Boosts, and then Nathan got me some Yeezy foam runners that I like to wear around the house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those are sick.
I love that. Did you hear what I told the people about the Ultra
I
Boost?
heard
Or
I
did you
heard
have your
kind of the
headset
end
off?
of it where you said that they might be the shoe of our generation.
Yeah, I
I
would say
agree.
so. It like there is something about a white pair of Ultra Boosts
Oh, it's
that are
amazing.
completely trashed
Yeah.
that you see all the time.
Yep. It's that and Air
And
Forces.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
and Air Forces. And dude, the Ultra Boost, it has a shout for probably the most durable shoe of all time.
Maybe. I repped that hole in those Ultra Boosts a little early on. I also have an oddly shaped foot, but um yeah, it was interesting. I liked that question. That was very fun to go through.
What was a
Um
good one?
all right. Well, that's it. That's the final question. So if you guys would like to be included in questions time, make sure you join the subreddit 2ND AND short and put in your questions. As long as you get them to us before about 4 o'clock on Thursdays, we'll get to you. Um, Luke, thank you for coming on. Of course, I always request. No, that's not what I was going to say. I respect and appreciate your presence, and I respect and appreciate you right now that I'm pointing deep into your eyes with you. Kind of, I'm trying to do the Uncle Sam.
I gotta line it up.
Yeah, you. I want you to like, subscribe, comment on the YouTube, turn on notifications, and then head over to the podcast platform. Or if you're already there and you hear me deep in your ears, hypnotizing you, I'm not going to do it again like I did last week, but you already know what to do because I told you to do it last week. You're going to rate 5 stars. You're going to follow us on the podcast platform. Then you're going to go to the link tree. You can find it just about everywhere that we have anything that you could be intaking this episode from. And you're going to follow us on all those social media platforms, which also happen to be right below us here. Luke, enjoy the NFL honors tonight and have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Super
Yep,
Bowl.
I'm just gonna
You
go
fade
back
into
into
the
the
darkness.
abyss here. Yeah.
And we will catch you guys next week. Remember, come back on Monday for me and Colin's reactions to the Super Bowl. Peace.